Hey guys, this is Eve. Thanks for tuning into my YouTube channel. This channel is dedicated to exploring various topics in the metaphysics, looking at them from a very occult standpoint. So I like to disclose early on that my videos are not for everyone. They're actually targeted towards a small fraction of the world's population. They refer to as the 144,000 in the Bible. Okay, and so the 144,000, they are Rh negatives, and so they represent 15% or less of the world's population. If you are a black Rh negative, then you're 4% or less. Okay, so I like to put that out there, or what have you. Really in this video I want to focus a lot on me, a lot of my personal things. That's one thing. I'm a spiritual teacher. I consider myself to be that, or a metaphysician or whatever, and I do channel to help people get, I guess, information from the subconscious, from the astral realm, in order to, I guess, have an understanding of why things are the way that they are here in this 3D realm. So I feel like, one thing about it, I never like, not disclose things about myself or problems and things like that I'm having. But it really has, put, I guess, a stop to a lot of the, I guess what you would say, I guess like a lot of the information that I give, the channelings and stuff like that, I have to be grounded. So I'm not very grounded. So I've tried to kind of do some things to kind of spruce myself up and get in touch with my moon sign. My moon's in Libra. So Libra is about beauty. It's about aesthetics. It's about friendships and, that type of thing. And bonding, it's about marriage. So I've tried to kind of reconnect with people that, I haven't really spoken to in a long time. I really have tried to, just kind of get more in touch with my astral self or whatever, and try to bring that astral aspect of myself to earth. And so it's very difficult, or whatnot, but I experienced a very severe and extremely severe spiritual attack, actually. And really it was such a severe psychic attack that I got physical, what is it, like physical symptoms of it. So I had been in like really heavy, what do they call it, like in Hindu, like sadhana, or heavy meditation. I've been in heavy meditation. And so I experienced a great breakthrough in terms of trying to get the spiritual power to do what I need to do, and to make things better for me in my personal life. And when that happened, I was severely attacked in the astral realm. Okay. And so I was like, oh my gosh, like, are you serious? Like, yeah, it was really bad. And so oftentimes, you get attacks in the astral realm when there are blind spots. You see what I'm saying? So when you're in a body, you still have blind spots in consciousness, and other entities can see that. And when they see that and you can't see that, they can use those things against you. Okay. So I really, was trying to kind of uncover this entity and trying to get into it to see, to learn about it. Because whenever you're attacked by something, especially so severely, the entity doesn't want to be found out. It doesn't want to be uncovered. It does not want to be, what is it? It doesn't want to be known. You know what I mean? Like there's darkness as it pertains to the subconscious and the astral realm and that type of thing. So the entity is very, lacks a lot of emotions. And so when I actually was interfacing with this, what you would call quote unquote demon, it had an emotional response. So that was a win for me. I felt like, for something to have such little emotion, to show such emotions, and just evil. You see what I'm saying? Not evil, but it's evil, but I consider Eve to be the emotional aspect of the human being, but to show such, I guess, emotions, you know what I mean? Negative, even if it's negative towards me, was really some type of breakthrough, so I had to deal with that, and really trying to build myself up to have some more grounding and stuff like that. So that's why I'm trying to, spruce myself up, make myself look a little bit, more, I don't know, just aesthetically, like in with Libra and that type of thing. And really kind of looking at my situation to say, okay, why am I having such adversity? Everyone knows about my experience in Las Vegas and how I was targeted for sex trafficking there. And it was very difficult for me to, cut my losses there. And, I was followed, was everywhere, stalked at my job. I was stalked at establishments where I conducted business. I was stalked at my apartment and that type of thing. And so it was very, very, scary. And it was, I was so psychological and so scared all the time about what was going to happen. You know what I mean? Like my period stopped. Like that's just how much I was in the psychic realm. Like when I moved back to the East Coast, then I got my period. I was like, you know what? And I was really like, the day that I moved back to the East Coast, because I was like, oh, I'm away from there, my period came on. So it goes to show how when people are targeting you, how it pushes you up into the upper chakras to where you lose connection with your root chakra and with your sacral chakra. So that's just a testament to that. Okay. So I came back to the East Coast, after I settled affairs in Las Vegas, right after, as soon as I could do that, to be closer to my daughter and to reestablish myself here. And that has really faltered big time for me. Working out things with my ex-husband, and the fact that, my ex-husband is trying definitely to fight for custody of our daughter, full custody. And so it's very crazy because, when I was in Vegas or whatnot, he took advantage of COVID and the fact that I couldn't travel to, I didn't want her there in Vegas knowing with all the problems I was having there, being targeted and stuff like that. So I didn't even want to be there. But I, I told him once things lit up with COVID, that, our daughter could, I'd fly him and my daughter, and he could bring his wife as well. I put them in a very nice resort. I was making good money in Vegas. So I was like, I'll put you guys up, and, as long as I can see my daughter, you know what I mean? Until I can kind of get out of here, and then I'll relocate back to the East Coast, and we can co-parent, kind of work things out, and you can kind of catch me up on how things are going with her. But he refused to do it. And when I came back to the East Coast for Mother's Day, I said, I'm gonna be picking my daughter up. It's Mother's Day, whatever the case is. He refused to let me see her on Mother's Day. And during COVID, I had been during COVID, I had been sending her gifts because I was making good money, so I would send her gifts. She's a really good kid, and so she does really well in school. So I'm like, mommy's sending you this, that, and the other. And come to find out, he actually falsified the address to send her gifts. Like, that's why she would never get them. I would ask her, like, Lark, did you get, your such and such, did you like it? And she's like, let mommy see it. So she was not getting her things. So his address was different than his address is different than the address that that he told me to send her stuff to. So he did not want me to know where he lived. He did not want me to know anything. And so, in the midst of, I guess what you would say, all of that, and hopefully my phone doesn't cut off, guys. If it does, then I'll come back on. But I don't think it's gonna cut off. I think that I don't know, let me see. I think it's okay, but let me put I have my charger on me, so I can do that. But anyway, make sure it's secure. See, that's the thing, when I have my charger on it, it's kind of like it doesn't want to stay up. I don't know. I'll take it out, but if it cuts off, then I'll come back on. Okay. So anyway, Yeah, so the thing is that the natal chart is very important. I'm very spiritual. See, the natal chart is very important. I study Vedic astrology. I really tell people that I advocate for Vedic astrology after the age of 30, because your consciousness gets recalibrated after your life experiences. And so I have something in my chart. Everyone has something in their chart called Rahu. So Rahu is an aspect of, it's like a shadow planet, if you will. That's what it's often referred to. And so shadows are things that you can't see. And so it kind of corresponds to what the soul wants to accomplish within this particular lifetime. Okay. So my soul wanted to experience the 5th house of Rahu, which is about children. You see what I'm saying? So, and that makes sense. And so because my ex-husband, he's well versed in the occult, but he doesn't want to disclose it, because of the fact that he saw that and he knows that this is what my soul's intention is, he deliberately tried to actually separate me from my daughter to cause extreme emotional pain and suffering. And I'm not going to disclose why here in this video, but it's very pathetic and it's very disgusting. It's very evil. And so this is why the natal chart is very important. People can use the information against you to create mental, physical, and emotional pain, to destroy you and to kill you, actually. So the fact that that's happening is really crazy. You know what I mean? And the things that I'm talking about concerning my ex-husband is very karmic. It's not superficial, because superficially speaking, you could say when I was married to my ex-husband, I was a good wife. I was a good wife. And so I always championed my husband's career, and I was always, I always did what my husband told me to do. I was a submissive wife. And so I think that's why I'm not very submissive now. I was very submissive, and there's lots of infidelities and stuff like that went on in the marriage, and that was one of the reasons why we broke up. You know what I mean? And I wasn't very well versed in the occult at that time, and I didn't look at marriage in the way that I look at it now. You know what I mean? Whereas marriage does go against your nature. So as far as the infidelities itself, it wasn't really necessarily the problem. The problem for me was the secrecy involving it. You know what I mean? It's the secrecy involving it. And it happened so many times. You see what I'm saying? I feel like someone should be able to say, you know what? I want to do this, do that. My desires for this, that, and the other. But to be so secretive, I just said to myself, like, I can't, quote unquote, trust this person, to be honest with me, and it was just like, I don't know, he just kept cheating on me. You know what I mean? And so I was just like, okay, well, what's the deal with that? Like, I remember, looking at some of the incidences and going back into my mental Rolodex to say, oh wow, like that was crazy. You know what I mean? But I still stayed within the marriage, and I feel like I did so because I was always subconsciously programmed from seeing my parents that you stay with your husband no matter what. So it wasn't like, I feel like it was a conscious choice to stay with him, but eventually I felt like I had to leave. You know what I mean? Because it just kept happening. Like, I remember one day I was at work, and what happened? My ex-husband took my car for some repair, so I took his car. And so I was like, oh, okay, well, I didn't have reception at where I was working, very good reception, so I came outside to do something, pay a bill or something like that. And so I was outside on my phone or my laptop, one of the two, I can't remember, but I was I remember I was sitting in his passenger seat, and something told me just to open the glove compartment. When I opened the glove compartment, I saw a box of condoms. And so I was just kind of like, well, what the hell is that? You know what I mean? Like, of course, we never use condoms, we're married. And so, like, when I looked in the box of condoms, it was open. And so I was like, oh my gosh. And it said that it came in like a box of 12. So I was like, oh, you know what? It's 12 in here. You know, maybe he wants to use condoms to spruce something up. You know, we always want to like explain away stuff, but I kept counting. I only counted 11 condoms. And there was one that was missing out of the box. And I just said to myself, like, really? You know what I mean? And I went to one of my coworkers. I was that distraught about it. And I told her about it. Because, you know, it's an older woman, older black woman. I said to myself, like, you know, you're married. You know what I mean? And she was like, oh, he just wanted to protect himself. You know, like she was kind of like, I kind of picked up from her psychically that her husband cheats on her as well. And so she had been through something similar, and she didn't necessarily, she was kind of like psychically telling me like, we all go through this shit. You see what I'm saying? Like, we all go through this. And I didn't really know how to handle that. You know, I was furious. You know, I was so angry. And it was like around Halloween. You know, I had a little jack-o'-lantern. I had some candy that I had put in the jack-o'-lantern to take to work. And, you know, I said to myself, okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put these condoms in the midst of the candy in this jack-o'-lantern because he loves candy. So I was like, okay, you know, let me go ahead and put this, you know, this candy or these condoms in this jack-o'-lantern, and I'm going to go home and you know, just ask him if he wants some candy. You know, he loves candy, so you know, of course he'll be game for that. And so he was, you know, when I went home, I was acting like nothing was wrong. I think this is the Scorpio in me. You know, Scorpios are very emotional, but we are able to channel the emotions in a way to destroy people. So, you know, he didn't notice anything. And he was like, what did he say? He said, I said, you know, you want some candy? You know, he didn't think anything of it. And so he was like, yeah, sure. And so when he went and, you know, to get the candy and he saw the condoms, he just stopped rummaging through it and looked at me and he said, I didn't do anything. And I just went ballistic. I was just like, are you fucking shitting me, sir? I was like, there was 11 condoms in the box of condoms. He was like, well, I was just looking to see what it looked like. Motherfucker, you don't know what a fucking condom looks like? You know, one thing about me, I'm so psycho that the incident in and of itself wasn't as hurtful as him insulting my fucking intelligence. You see what I'm saying? You know, insulting my intelligence. You know, it's like, you know what a condom looks like, honey. Like, say if you even, like, you know, were just trying to figure out what the condom looks like, you would put it maybe back in the bag or something, like, or in the box or something. You know what I mean? But no, it wasn't there. So it really just goes to show that, you know, he was really playing me to be stupid, a dummy. And it just kept happening. You see what I'm saying? It just kept happening. He took a business trip to DC. When he took a business trip, you know, I was home with a new baby, you know, and I was like, you know, one thing about it, I felt like back in my marriage, you know, I really needed my husband to help me to parent well. I wasn't I didn't know a whole lot about, you know, children and that type of thing. And I think this goes back to my natal chart in Vedic astrology, my 5th house in Rahu, because children is like uncharted territory for me. You know what I mean? And I felt like I was definitely afraid to be a parent and to be a mother. And, you know, I felt like I needed a partner to kind of help me navigate through that, you know? And, you know, it was very strange because, like, you know, most mothers, they'll be like, oh, you know, I'm happy to buy, you know, the crib and decorate the, you know, the room and stuff like that and this, that, and the other. But, I really, you know, didn't buy anything for my daughter. My husband bought everything. He was like, this is what we're going to paint the room. This is the crib that we're going to get. This is the rocking chair. This is all the, you know, these are the clothes and stuff. Like, he wouldn't even let me pick out clothes for her, really. He's like, I want her to have these clothes and this and the other. And I'd be like, what the fuck, man? You know, what's wrong with you? You know what I mean? But, you know, he was a very, very active and very involved father. And I like that about him, to a certain extent. But, at the same time, I was just kind of like, it kind of was kind of a little bit strange. But for someone like me who was not very much, I guess what you would say, kind of like knew a lot about children and that type of thing, I felt that it was a good match for him and I to have a child together. So, going back to everything and how I was, at home with my daughter, and, he had me at home, like, when I was on maternity leave, sending off, you know, applications and this, that, and the other, and running errands for him, and, doing all these different things while he was, engaging in God knows what with God knows who. You know what I mean? And keeping it from me. Like I checked his cell phone and he had an hour-long conversation with a female that I knew from college, because he and I met at college. And so I was like, why is he on the phone with this person for an hour, and this is not his mom's number or his dad's number, brother, whomever, you know what I mean? Like, this is not his friend's number. And so when I called and found out who it was just kind of like, really? I don't know. It just kept happening. But the thing about it that I feel that it was so disturbing to me is that he felt like I would not find out about it. Okay. So I was like, obviously you don't want to be in this marriage. You see what I'm saying? And, I look at marriage very differently now. As far as I'm concerned, infidelities really don't matter very much, because of the fact that marriage in and of itself as an institution goes against your nature. Okay, your nature is to be with other people and that type of thing. That's your nature. Just like it's your nature to not have Chinese food every night, or to not wear the same clothes every day, or not to drive the same car, or whatever. You see what I'm saying? Our whole core of our being is about variety. And so being with the same partner, right, sexually, is not, from my point of view, from my third eye point of view, it is not in tune with nature. Just like other things in the Bible, like it's like if someone slaps you on the cheek, then you turn to him the other. Most people are not going to do that because it's not in accordance with nature. You see what I'm saying? Like if I slap the shit out of you, you might slap the shit out of me back. Or you might cuss or call the cops to say that you were physically assaulted, whatever, but it goes against your nature. Okay, so the institution of marriage was actually created by extraterrestrials. Okay, so my view of marriage is not the same as it was when we were married, but once we decided to not be married, I was more than happy to support my ex-husband in his, future endeavors with dating, and I was happy for him to have the freedom that he wanted to have. And his ex-wife doesn't know, but before when he was dating her and we were still married, I'm not sure if she knew that we were still married, but we were still living under the same roof. You see what I'm saying? So it was just kind of like when he would come home from his dates with her, I'd be like, oh, how was your date? I was like, how did it go? Whatever the case is. So one thing about me, I've always been good about when it comes to my friendships and things like that. Regardless of who, relationships, supporting the will and desire of God, the soul, the solar plexus, what gratifies someone. And, that really has not been reciprocated for me, I just look back at things and I say to myself, despite your infidelities, for me to be so nice to you, so kind to you, to make sure that when we were apart, I was driving halfway to Atlanta for you to see your daughter, and you can't actually fly all the way from Atlanta to Las Vegas, and someone's going to pay for you to come here. You see what I'm saying? And you won't do it. The fact that I tell you that I'm here on Mother's Day and you're saying, oh no, I'm not going to let you see your daughter on Mother's Day. That's fucking disgusting. To take advantage of that. You see what I'm saying? And so in the midst of dealing with all the bad luck that I've had in terms of being sex trafficked almost and stalked, and it's even happening here in Atlanta, I'm followed constantly. It's crazy. From the time I rise to the time that I actually go to sleep, someone's always there. Like, I'm just saying to myself, like, what the hell is this? I can't even go to the fucking bathroom without somebody following me in there. Like, are you serious? Are you that desperate, needy? So, and it's gotten to the point where people are like following me on because I drive and like pushing me down the interstate, trying to run me off the road and shit. I say to myself, are you fucking shitting me? You're fucking psychotic. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's a psycho situation. I've always been used to gang stalking, but it's on a new level. The gang stalking is like extremely high level now. But one thing about gang stalking, it's supposed to be very covert. One thing about when people are stalking you, whatnot, is to make the victim look like they're crazy. You see what I'm saying? But really, it's kind of like paper cuts. You're not gonna die from one paper cut. But if you keep, gnawing at someone, they're going to react, and so the reaction is supposed to be for judgment. You see what I'm saying? So there are certain things that are supposed to look like, oh, it's regular on the outside, but it's really to destroy the person. All right, so the person that's doing it can get what they want. And so I'm just kind of like at my wit's end, trying to figure out, trying to go into meditation to figure out how I'm going to get around this energetically and get out of this rut, so I can actually get full custody of my daughter back. I've never sought alimony or child support from my ex-husband. At that time, was making more money than he was when we got our divorce decree, and the judge was like, do you want alimony? Do you want child support? I was like, no. I was like, I don't have to beg for money from him, and I make more money than he does, so I'm not going to seek alimony. In fact, I gave my ex-husband money to pay down some of his debts so he and I could be financially stable going forward, and parenting our daughter. But to see how my life has just kind of crumbled, as a result of people doing things intentionally to hurt me, to harm me, is very disgusting. And there has to be a reckoning, you know what I mean? There has to be a reckoning and whatnot. And I'm all about that. I'm all about the fact that, there's only been so much that someone's soul can take. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, you're pathetic, you're disgusting, you're degenerate. And anybody would look at this situation to say, you know what, honey, there's something wrong with you. I've tried to go into meditation to get into my ex-husband's records. My ex-husband's records are sealed. His is kind of different. Like, a lot of times, I can get into people's records, and especially as it pertains to something that's the thing. People don't really understand when it comes to the Akashic records, somebody has to let you into their records. I've not been given access to the records. Let's just say that. Okay. And it looks like a black, it looks like a total obstruction. You see what I'm saying? And it's very little, but I can tell on the astral plane that he's a very cold being, very anal, very dental. You know what I mean? Like, my ex-husband's, his aura feels like, what does it feel like? It feels like someone who's a murderer, who's a killer, but they don't kill because like they're mad or something like that per se. You know what I mean? It's kind of strange. It's kind of like, I have a business meeting at 3. I'm going to murder my wife at 6. I'll be home for dinner by 8, that type of thing. It's very, very, his aura is very cold. Like, when I think of Pluto, right? The planet Pluto, where it's like, I think Pluto is like one of the furthest, what is it? One of the furthest, planets from the sun. Very, very cold. And so I can kind of tell, based upon his actions in 3D, on this physical level, how very cold he is. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, but he wasn't really like that, when we first got divorced and he got remarried. When he got remarried, things started to fall apart between he and I a lot, and our friendship really kind of melted away. And I kind of like accepted that because, no wife wants to have, the ex-wife over for dinner and stuff like that and shit like that. You know what I mean? Like, that's some crazy shit that we don't do, right? So, I really understood that, but because we had a daughter, I really wanted to get to know his new wife. because that person was going to be around my daughter, and I really tried to make peace offerings and, buy them things for Christmas and be like, this is from Lark, and let's, I want to go out with your ex-wife, I mean your wife, to just have a conversation with her. And he was like, I don't want you to meet her, I want you to talk to her. And I was just like, why? I was like, that doesn't make any sense. If we're going to be a quote unquote blended family, then that is important. But yeah, he was very much against that, and very much against sealing me off and shutting me off. And this is very cold, very callous, and very is really unbelievable. You see what I'm saying? And so the thing is that I've been trying my best to try to be established and get myself to a certain point to where I can fight this, and to say, hey, you know what, I'm established, this, that, and the other. But when I got people constantly after me, trying to destroy my life, following me 24/7, people, paying people off of my jobs and shit like that, and not transferring my jobs and, stuff. I mean, it's just kind of like, when is it going to stop? You know what I mean? And so there has to be a reckoning. And so, I really just wanted to talk about that and share that, and just say that, I'm really trying to kind of figure out how to get into my ex-husband's records, how to get into his wife's records. And I stay out of my daughter's records because I feel like there has been a lot that's gone on with her concerning, the wife's family. I'm picking up that she has endured something from her stepmother's family, or whatnot. And so I'm trying to stay out of the records because of the fact that if I do go that route, then it's going to be a problem, or what have you. But not for me. But there's going to be a problem. You see what I'm saying? So I'm trying to stay out of that. But what I'm trying to say is I understand that I have obligations and things like that to people, and I have obligations to, doing the work that I'm called to do. But at the same time, it's very difficult to do that when I have personal problems that I have to deal with. And I have issues where people are trying to target me and destroy my life. And people who have lots of money too. You know what I mean? It's like, like when I was in Vegas, like when you're paying off my boss or whatever to sell me to a pimp, to disenfranchise me, because people don't really understand how sex trafficking works. Of course, like, sex trafficking is like a vagrant on the street. That's what they try to reduce you to, right? To what do they call, a derelict or something like that? Yeah. They try to break you down psychologically to the point where you have nothing, so they can send in a pimp. The pimp comes in and says, I'll take care of you. You see what I'm saying? This is the whole point. But when you're paying people to mark down my valuations so you could try to get me fired, and you're like paying people at the car dealership to actually take my car back, although there are no payments due on the car, you know what I mean? Like, you're paying people, like, to steal my car and shit like that I go to have transports to. People really don't understand the situation that I'm in. Like, say if there's an elitist, right? Elitists don't have a little bit, they have a lot of money. Say if I go into if I go into the bank or whatever, and then an elitist sends someone to the bank I went to, and they're like, listen, I want you to give me access to that person's bank account. And most people will be like, oh, no, you have to be authorized on her bank account, whatever the case is, You don't have access, right? And then they say, well, you know what? I'll give you about $50,000 or whatever to have access to her account. They're like, I don't really like working for this bank anyway. Here's access. You see what I'm saying? And they don't really care. It's a hush-hush thing. So money makes the world go around. You see what I'm saying? And when you are targeted by an elitist, they will actually do everything they possibly can and pay off people to destroy your life. And they can do that. Cops make crummy salaries, just like teachers, right? Crummy salaries. They don't want to do the job they're doing. So you got dirty cops out there. you got dirty cops that'll say, oh, you know what? I'll go ahead and do that for you and harass her and do this, that, and the other. You see what I'm saying? You know, so I feel like, you know, when you are sold to the government, you know, basically, and you have higher ups in the government that are in sex trafficking and stuff like that and destroying people's lives, you know, it's kind of like you can't even get due process. I went to an attorney for my job and I was like, hey, you know, I can't really, I don't have a confession. I can't really prove it per se, but look at all these emails. Look at all these documents. Look at all these, you know, videos or whatever. Look at these circumstances, you know, and the lawyer's like basically starts to talk to you in mob lingo and tell you to get the fuck out of their office. And I'm like, what do you know, and it's like, get the fuck out, you know, like, I'm not going to go to war with these people, whatever the case is with the government, you know, basically he could lose his job and who knows what else. And so as a result, it's like, you know what, I'm not going to deal with this, honey. So you can't get due process. You see what I'm saying? So it's all about marginalizing you and putting you in a vulnerable situation for someone who is needy, who needs you, you know, who needs your pussy between your legs. You know what I mean? And I didn't know that pussy was such a high commodity here. You know, maybe I subconsciously want pussy myself. I was like, you know what? I didn't know pussy was so great. You know, I was like, oh, maybe since it is, maybe I should want some. We just had like gay pride yesterday. I made pretty good money yesterday, actually, at the gay pride parade. So, you know, I said to myself, like, you know, what is it? You know what I mean? Like, what is, you know, I don't understand. You know, I feel like, you know, with the experience that I've had, you know, I know women that are more beautiful. I know women that are more, you know, intelligent. Well, I don't really know anybody more intelligent than me. I'll be honest. No, I do. You know, I've actually, you know, I have soul ties with other clairvoyants as well. So yeah, they're more intelligent. Yeah. And more beautiful. So I said to myself, well, you know, you're more beautiful, more intelligent. I'm like, why can't you move on to another bitch? You know what I mean? But really, it's not like that when it comes to the elite. It's like a Birkin bag, right? It's like when you go to Hermes, right? You can't buy a Birkin bag unless you have a relationship with the company. You have to say, okay, you know, they ask you like, how much money have you spent? Or they look at your account to see how much money you spent with Hermes. And then they're like, okay, well, you can buy a Birkin bag. Now, some of these bags go up to like $500,000, right? Now, how much money do you think it takes to make a Birkin bag? Probably about maybe $3,000. Do you see what I'm saying? Or more, a little bit more, but not 500,000. So the elites are very psycho, what you would call psychological. So they're buying people like they're buying Birkin bags. They're like, you know what? It's very difficult for me to get this person. And so, you know, it's like, I'll make your life a living fucking hell if you don't fuck me, you know. I mean, it's just kind of like, why? You know what I mean? It just kind of makes me want to fuck them, to be like, you know what, will you go away now? Thank you. You're so kind. You know what I mean? So it's a slippage, just a synapse slippage, if you will, that I'm experiencing, or whatever the case is, that, you know, it's kind of like dealing with that situation and then kind of having that situation spill over into, you know, being here in Atlanta, to dealing with things involving custody of my daughter and my ex-husband and his, I don't know, like I said, just what he has going on. You know, he has a lot going on, and I don't know. I just feel like, you know, I've been such a wonderful friend, you know, and I was superficially such a good wife. And I know that our marriage was not built on a foundation of, you know, it was built on a void, I should say. Why would this person turn off their music? But it was built out of a void because of the fact that I really, you know, saw my ex-husband as like the redeemer of the black man that I came to be indoctrinated, you know, with before the age of 7. You know, I was always programmed that black men are bad and this, that, and the other. And so therefore, he was the quintessential quote-unquote black man. And so, you know, I was always like, you know, pushed to meet my husband in college, whatever the case is. And I'm like, oh, I was going to be an attorney myself, actually. And so I was like, you know what, I went into the advising office one day and talked to my advisor. I was like, I'm changing my major. And I was like, I'm not going to be an attorney, I'll marry one. Like, I just told her that before I met my ex-husband. I was like, I'll marry an attorney, I won't be one. And so come to find out, that's what happened. And so, I kind of spoke that into existence, not knowing how horrible my life would turn out, because of that. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I'm going through a lot of personal things, between being targeted by sex traffickers here, being psychically attacked, in meditations, and, yeah, it's just like, with my personal issues, with my straw man issues here in the matrix involving custody of my daughter, it is very difficult. And it's hard for me to hold on. It really is. But, my moon helps me. My moon helps me to, try to weather the storm and that type of thing. So I've been trying to kind of connect with old friends and, spruce myself up and stuff like that. And, be, just kind of like, try to mother myself and be kind to myself and try to gratify myself and gratify the body. Really is the only thing that I can do, but yeah, I'm up against people who have a lot of money, and a lot of money equals power. And so these people feel like they can buy people, and if they can't buy you, then they'll destroy you. It's very sad. Very sad. So I don't want this to be a very solemn video, but really it is. It really is. I try to kind of I don't know, I try to infuse a lot of humor into just kind of paint a positive image, even on something that's really ugly, in lots of ways, and kind of like, alchemize it, whatever the case is. But this is really, really disgusting. I'm really going through a lot of horrible, disgusting, desperate, just, I don't know. I feel like this person, this elitist that has picked me, he is sick. He is sick. And it's not just like, oh, I hate you because, you're trying to destroy me. But no, he really is a sicko. It's like, I have to have this person. Like, if I don't have you, I'm going to kill you. Okay? So that's what I'm going through right now, guys. Whatever the case is, I just want to kind of put some light on that. And I will see you in my next video.